Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about opinionated bosses. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, "Hi Frederick, I love your videos." Thank you. I had a point which I would appreciate your opinion on. I am currently working in a small team which has adopted Scrum. However, due to our size, it seems that all development has to happen. It seems that all development has to happen, and the product owner has to be part of the development. Sorry. At the same time, the product lead acts as a product owner but insists on approving each pull request. I really don't understand this, as I believe it should be the developer's responsibility to write and review each other's code, which means it would not require the approving review from the project owner. As you might imagine, this is incredibly slowed down our team's output, as well as we are all waiting on the project lead to approve the code, which he doesn't really understand. He is a C++ lead, and here he's reviewing Node and Vue.js code. This also means that the developers who submitted the pull request must then explain each line and commit to the project lead. This seems pretty stupid to me as a developer, and I think it makes no sense for the product owner to have to review the code. The product owner should be informed of a feature's progress, and essentially shouldn't care about the branches being committed and merged. Let me know what you think of this mess. Well, yeah. So what I wrote back was basically that I'm guessing that this is your first time working under an opinionated boss. Because what you're describing here it's a kind of weird version of something that happens at times. It's not that common that I see this. I think the only time I've seen, I mean, every company has a version of this sort of thing where you have usually someone else reviewing, right? You do code reviews in multiple ways, but you always have some other person check it out, usually. And in some companies you have certain high-stake projects or the other team's code where like there are specific people, like the code owner thing on GitHub, for example. That's what that's about, like where you have some other group of people or some person who owns a part of the code is responsible for it and should review it because, you know, it's their code on the line. So if you're making a pull request to their code, they're going to have to check it out. Now, for the product owner, like the reason why I think that this is happening is because this is a technical person, and probably either, like, I mean, it's a Node.js and Vue application. It would have made more sense if it was a C++ project, because then I could have kind of understood it. Because if you didn't know that, I'm not sure if Linus still does that for the Linux project, but that is literally how a lot of the standards committees work, where you will submit a pull request or a draft, an RFC or something like that, to some super guru or someone who's part of the club, and they're going to review it when they have time. And sure, it's a slow process, but it's a it's supposed to be, at the very least. It's supposed to be a slow process. It's supposed to be a qualitative process, because a lot of people depend on the quality of, say, the Linux kernel or like whatever project you can imagine, TC39, Node.js, you name it, right? And here's the kicker. For you, in your specific company, what you have to understand is that it doesn't really matter if you know 100 better ways of doing something at your place of work, because you're not getting paid to do it better than what your manager wants you to do, and then what your manager wants you to. This is that context, by the by, that I've talked to you select few about a few times. You know, these wonderful people who like to tell me, "Frederick, you're doing this and that. Why are you doing this and that? It's so much easier to just use library A, B, and C." And I kind of go, "That's great. Hopefully you'll be able to argue for that when you're in a project where they don't give a shit about all the ways that you can do something when they want you to do it in their way. And that's where you find yourself right now. So here's the weird part. Your company is clearly still in business. Otherwise you wouldn't have a job. And this process, even if it sucks, is there, and they want you to follow it for whatever reason. And now you have to do it their way. And all you can really do is to suggest that there might be a better way of doing it. But if your boss is adamant on that this is the way we're doing it, and we're doing it because of A, B, and C, it doesn't really matter if he's wrong, if he's right or wrong, because it's his he has either it is his company, or he's working for the person who has put him in charge, whose company it is. So it's not your place, unfortunately, to fix that. Your place is to write code the way they want you to, and come with whatever feedback they are willing to listen to. And here is the thing that you have to ask yourself. It's the thing that all software developers are going to have to take a stand on at some point. And there's really no wrong or right answer here. You're going to have to ask yourself, is this job and this way of working such a problem that you're willing to switch jobs? Is your craft more important than your job? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter the fact that this person has to code review everything. You are, as a person who is delivering, like your personal development skills, you're not being impacted. You're just being delayed, and you're still getting paid. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I'm one of these people who would have also thought that this was kind of weird and like complained about it, depending on, of course, like level of interest and like all these other factors. But I've been where you are now, not with this specific situation, but I've worked under bosses where they are literally so thick that their poor decision-making process is costing millions all over the place. They are single-handedly bankrupting the company. And they will not listen to reason. But as I said, at the end of the day, it's not your money. You are working for them, not the other way around. So you have to ask yourself, is this situation really affecting you in a way where do you care? Because if you do care, the only thing you can do is, as I said, talk to them or quit. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you are working for a really weird boss or someone who's truly opinionated, unfortunately it doesn't really matter if you know 100 ways of doing something better than your boss, because your boss is paying you to do it their way. And if they're not willing to listen to you and you have a problem with that, this is where I really hope that you followed my other advice on keeping your skills relevant, keeping your CV up to date, making sure that you have market value, all of that good stuff, because then you can just wave goodbye to that person and go and find yourself somewhere else to work where they might listen to you instead. Or you can do the other thing, which is to literally just accept the situation the way it is and to just kind of go into the apathy thing I've talked to you about as well, because this is your boss is literally a person who is causing that sort of apathy. This is usually the thing that most IT companies are most scared of, that this thing will settle in, because basically what happens is if you create a situation where software developers feel unmotivated, or they feel like there's a lot of process or a lot of bothersome stuff going on in their workday, they're not going to give it their all. And this is a creative field, and you can imagine how fast things turn poorly, let's just call it that, when that happens. Because when the apathy sets in, there's no coming back from it. But yeah, basically that's what I'm telling you, and you shouldn't be surprised at these sorts of things happening, because honestly, guys, the number one problem in management is to have some person who should understand that they should offload some work from whatever they're doing because they're a bottleneck, and they're stopping other work. This is the daily stuff for every single corporation, every single company, to have some person either be too important or have too much knowledge or not understand that they need to do things in a different way because they're slowing everything down. And fixing this problem, unfortunately, my friend, is not your job. Have a great day.